Yep.
Well, let's welcome to the panel, first-time Wasteland appearance, Mr. Tom Atkins.
And sadly, for our fallen friend, we'll leave a mic for Mr. William Forsythe here on the end.
Mike Berryman is coming in, so...
Is he coming in?
Yes,
he's coming in.
Good. I do want to tell all you guys that Bill Forsythe couldn't be here this weekend, but he loves you. He loves Wasteland fans, so he will be back. He loves to party with you. He wants to talk to you.
Tom, not on.
So,
And I know what you want.
Pete?
Yes, Art.
Pete,
Yes, Art.
tell us a hooker story.
I knew that was coming. Tom, you have to excuse Art. He lives vicariously through me, and this has been a Wasteland tradition.
That's not quite so, but
Okay.
I do want to hear a hooker story.
Okay. I'll get it. I got a good one for you. I had to dredge my memory, which is hard, but we had this guy who used to drive around, and he was a hooker magnet because he could find hookers where nobody else could. Sometimes they were good, sometimes, well, they weren't so good. But this time he found this chick called Angel. And Angel was just that. She was gorgeous. Dark hair, body that wouldn't quit, and he shows up with her, and there's an apartment across from where I'm working, and that's where the meeting place was going to be. And I was a mechanic, so sometimes I'm in this stuff, sometimes I'm not. But when I saw her, I'm definitely in. So the appointed time, I walk across the street, and the guy goes to me, "You ain't coming in here as filthy as you are," and slams the door in my face. I'm like, oh shit, I'm not going to miss this. But it's an hour ride to go home. So I go back over to the gas station, strip naked, put the lift up, put a garden hose on it, take a shower. Then put a towel around me and walk across the street and knock at the door again. And I get in. So the other funny part was there was an off-duty narcotics cop there on stakeout, so he had to go first. So he's in there, and all of a sudden he gets the call for the bus, and it's like his name was Jimmy Set, and he goes, somebody to set, we're on running. I'm coming. Bolts out of the door with half his pants on. So this chick had this whistle above her crotch, and a lot of the guys were going in and blowing the whistle. So now it's my turn. I ain't blowing a whistle, I want this. And the price was 15 one way, 25 the other way. Cheap bastard I am, I went for the 15, but the more I'm looking at her, I'm thinking, let's go for the 25. So I went for the 25, I nailed it, and I walked out and told the boys, you're not eating lunch anymore. And that's the hooker story for this show. Was that a good one, Art?
It was very good, thank you.
You're welcome.
Sorry, Tom, it's sort of a tradition. Pete's the only guy I know who shamelessly tells hooker stories.
I know.
Yeah. You never pay him for sex, you pay him to leave.
I'm a Methodist.
What's the theme here, Pete? We've kind of had a theme here.
Yeah, what's going on?
What are we doing?
Okay, we have a theme.
Jesus Christ. Let's see a skeletal outline of what we're going to be doing
Okay.
here. What the hell are we doing?
Ensemble casts that you were in, and also Michael Berryman was in, because I brought this up before about the Expendables. Anybody who wasn't here seen the Expendables? My problem with the Expendables was, I grew up in the same era probably as Tom. We had the Magnificent Seven, the Dirty Dozen, all those other good things. And where my point is, you cared about the cast. Because Magnificent Seven, you got into their characters, and you were really sad that only 3 of them lived. Same with the Dirty Dozen. You got into their characters because they were great actors, and you're really pissed off that only 2 of them lived. Expendables, I didn't give a shit about any of them people. I hope them all died except for Steve Austin that killed him. So, point being that, you know, Tom was in Escape from New York, which had some great actors like Harry Dean Stanton, Lee Van Cleef, Ernest Borgnine. You know, when Mike gets here, you know, Devil's Reject, Fred Olin Ray's Armed Response, also with Lee Van Cleef, the Carradines, and all those other people. So, you know, we'd like to, you know, talk about that type of thing, because actually, Tom, we can live vicariously through you, because unfortunately, Lee is no longer here, and I'm a big fan.
Yeah, no, he's gone. But he was dying while we shot Escape from New York. Though we didn't know it, he was dying of cancer, and he died within a year after we shot it.
You'd have never
Lee
known.
Van Cleef. No, he was great. He was a sweet guy, smoked the pipe, real low key, lovely man. But yeah, I feel the same way about The Fog. We're a lot of a really good cast in The Fog, and you cared about the people, and it's the reason I don't like movies like Saw. No offense, you know, those of you who do, but I don't give a shit about anybody in
No, the
Saw
characters are
or
just,
any of them.
their characters are set pieces.
Yeah. They're just something to be tortured and killed, and
Right, you
there's no hope in the movie. There's
Yeah,
no.
they don't even need
nothing.
a name. They're really
like
set
mannequins.
pieces. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like mannequins, there's no
Yeah.
acting there.
Although I did want all the kids to die at the end of Halloween 3. Does that make me a bad person?
Oh, no, it doesn't make you a bad person at all. You may have wanted them to die, but they didn't.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Somebody on this panel saved them.
Yeah, somebody did. Turn it off, please, turn it off.
You also, if I remember right, you pretty much started out, was it The Detective was one of your first films with Frank
Yeah,
Sinatra?
The Detective. I played a rookie cop, 1967, with Mr. Sinatra. Yeah, he was keeping his eye on me because I killed 2 black guys in a car. I pulled over a car and the kid was reaching for his license and I thought he was going for a gun, so I emptied mine into him. And although they didn't put that part in the film. You know, an interesting sidelight though, on that movie, 1967, The Detective, and I went out to L.A. We shot it in New York, but they flew me to L.A. to do the end of the car chase, where I'm chasing these guys in the car and pull them over under a Bronx L subway line or something. But in LA, they did the close-up of the pullover, and I, in the rehearsal, went up to the car, and the stuntmen in the car were all white with blackface. I swear to God, they didn't have any black stuntmen in 1967 in Hollywood. Isn't that interesting? I thought.
Well, it was like the early '70s when when the explosion came and they all got, you know.
Yeah.
But backing up, prior to The Detective, what was your trajectory to acting? How did you become involved in film in the beginning?
Well, I was going to Duquesne University, and they had an extracurricular theater group there. It's a school in Pittsburgh, and I was dating a girl, chasing a tomato, and she was involved in this theater group, and I said, I'm not getting my fair share of your time. And she said, come and join the group, and we'll see each other all the time. So I did, and I really liked the group, and it was great, and I saw less and less of her, more and more of the thing, and then I went to New York after Duquesne.
Kind of funny, because that's kind of a semi-common reason. I mean, when we sit up here and do interviews for 19 shows, you go, how'd you get in acting?
Yeah.
Some broad,
Yeah.
some chick, some girl, this woman.
God knows, there's a lot of good-looking girls in theater, and
That's what it was.
Yeah.
And
Why play sports when you can, go to the theater class and be around women?
Well, I always thought it was funny. I can't remember who we had on the panel that said, well, like, theater was full of a lot of gay guys, so I figured I'd have a great shot.
Tom, how did you hook up with John Carpenter, first off?
well,
You guys hooked up? I'm just kidding.
no. Adrian Barbeau is an old friend of mine, and we were friends before John came into the picture. And I remember being at Adrian was dating John at the time, and it was getting serious, and he had just done Halloween, and we went to the Directors Guild in Hollywood to see a screening of Halloween. And my wife at that time was sitting on one side of me and her girlfriend Jeannie on the other side. And they spent the whole night like this. Can we look? Can we look? Sure, go ahead, look. Oh, you bastard, you bastard. At the end of the movie, they said, both of them in one voice said, we cannot let Adrienne marry this guy. John Carpenter was just way too brutal, but she did, and it lasted a while, and that's how we hooked up. Then we became friends, kind of, and he invited me to be in The Fog, and then Halloween 3. Though Tommy Lee Wallace directed Halloween 3, John wrote the music, and no, he just produced it. Him and Deborah Hill. That's how I know him. But we are not close. We don't keep in touch. He's kind of a reclusive guy. Although he has started doing these shows now.
Yeah, he has done a couple. I've actually met him. Whenever he used to do shows Like if he had something to promote, he'd show up at a show.
Yeah.
So, you know,
Yeah.
but, you know, now he's doing them every once in a while, but.
Yeah.
You know, going back to Escape from New York, I remember Warren Oates was originally cast as the Brain, then you got Harry Dean Stanton instead. How was it working with Harry?
What happened to Warren Oates? Did he die?
No, he had, I think it might have been around the time where he was on the way out, but I think he was doing, it might have been Stripes and Blue Thunder at the same time.
Something. So another job got in the way that he
Yeah,
couldn't do.
he couldn't get over, and they
yeah.
grabbed Harry to go in.
Yeah.
Harry's fantastic, though. I love Harry.
He was wonderful, but you know the weird thing about Escape from New York is that Lee Van Cleef and I spent the entire time at the Jet Propulsion Lab in Pasadena, the Sepulveda Dam, where the entry into the prison supposedly was, and I did a shot in the beginning of the movie at the Statue of Liberty in New York. But everybody else in the film, Ernie Borgnine and Harry Dean Stanton and Adrienne Barbeau, they all went into St. Louis, which was supposed to be Manhattan and the prison. And we were not part of that. I was not part of that. It was a bizarre movie in that I was in it, but it felt like two different films to me.
Yeah, if I remember right, they didn't want it. New York wouldn't let him shoot there because they didn't want to give the city a bad name.
Well, St. Louis, there was, I guess, a section of St. Louis that was so awful that they were happy to have them shoot there.
Yeah, if I remember right, they had to be in at one time, wreck everything, and clean it up and get it out by the morning. So
Yeah,
traffic
something
would go.
like that.
Yeah.
This being the Grindhouse panel, I'm wondering if you ever, on your own, went to a Grindhouse and saw one of your many films that played there back in the day.
No, I never did. I'm a Methodist, you know. No, I never did.
Uncool.
Yeah, that's okay. There you go.
Yeah, but you know what it is? But a lot of guys, even Bronson never went to see anything he shot for some reason. He just didn't
Yeah.
want to see himself in a
A
movie.
lot
Yeah.
of, that's very common too.
Yeah.
Very common.
We sit here on this panel and people say, "Well, I don't never saw the movie, but I only remember this, that."
Well, I'll tell you, you know, I'm in a movie called Drive Angry. I'm not in it big. I got a nice small part in it, and and I went to see it, and it was fucking gone. It's already gone. I feel so bad for Patrick Lussier, who directed it. We had a wonderful time shooting it down in Shreveport, Louisiana last summer, but man, it died a quick death. It released and went within 2 weeks.
I find that silly nowadays. You're lucky if a movie sticks in a theater a weekend.
Yeah.
Where it used to be, if it had box office, it had legs. It stayed there until the crowds.
Yeah.
Well, here was the trick, and a lot of people don't remember this. You would probably do it. They used to change the movies on Wednesdays instead of Fridays.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think what I was told was the reason was they'd give it 2 days to see how it went, and if it's starting to tank by Friday, they'd switch it and throw something else in for the weekend.
Ah.
So I used to manage a drive, and we used to always get the print on a Tuesday night, and we would have to run it to make sure it was watchable. And I had High Plains Drifter. I sent 6 of them back because it was too dark. Then finally I gave up because it was just a dark movie.
Yeah.
So that was the way it went down here. And we say they don't give these movies a chance anymore.
Well, a lot of times, even drive-ins, I grew up the drive-in, they'd have Tuesday, Wednesday, it'd be like carload night, so they'd just throw anything on Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Thursday through Monday would be something new, so
Yeah.
they'd switch them out to get as many people back as possible.
Now, your favorite film that you did, from what I read, was Night of the Creeps.
Oh yeah.
That was a fun movie. Yeah.
Yeah. Thrill me, baby. Thrill me. It's Miller time. Well, girls, I got good news and I got bad news. The good news is your dates are here. They're dead. They're dead, yeah. Great lines, great lines.
That's what it was. I was going to say,
The movie holds up very well, too.
Yeah, I just watched it like 2 weeks ago.
There's a beautiful 35mm print of it that's making the rounds, and it looks great. It looks like brand new.
Yeah, wow.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
We did do, finally, Sony, 25 years after we did it, released a righteous DVD of it, and we all, Micah Felcher and a bunch of us went down to Austin, Texas, and did the extras and commentary and stuff for it. We had a wonderful time. It was a great weekend. I don't understand why it took them so long.
Music
you know?
rights. That's what took them so long. The music rights. They had to nail down because they used so many different real songs.
Oh yeah, right.
They had to nail down all those music rights or change the music. That's
You had a dialogue.
Well, you know what they didn't do that they should have done? They didn't want to pay the money for the artwork on the original poster to make on the DVD, and they ran a contest or something.
Not a good cover.
Oh, it's awful.
Yeah.
It's just awful.
The movie
Yeah,
itself is
it's
excellent,
yeah.
and the original soundtrack's on it. So see, if you haven't seen it, dig it up.
One of my favorite Atkins films is The New Kids. You don't have a huge role in it, but you're in Sean Cunningham's The New Kids. Do you want to talk a little bit about that film?
Yeah, it was a nice little movie. They asked me to play the dad, and we went to Homestead, Florida, and shot this movie called The New Kids, and I played an Army, I don't know, career sergeant or something, and I died early on in the movie. I think I had a scene talking with the kids, and then they showed me training, and I went over a fence, and then all of a sudden I'm dead. I think it was an airplane crash or something. I don't know. And but we spent a lot of time in Homestead, Florida, and I got a chance to go down to Key Largo and Key West and do some fishing, and I had a great time. The movies are all about the trips for me. A lot of it. Now, I just enjoy the travel. I got to go to Xena, do a Xena in New Zealand and played her dad. And they took my wife and son out for a couple of weeks. It was great. Yeah.
It's like longevity. It has its rewards. You get to relax and travel now. You know.
Yeah.
So I feel kind of sorry for Pete. Pete actually, for the first time, we plotted something. This whole ensemble casting. Now it's turned into an afternoon with Tom Atkins, which I think is excellent.
An afternoon with Tommy,
which I think is good. Because,
Why not?
Because we try to fit all the guests into a panel anyway. So if we just sit here and talk about his films, you guys won't mind, will you?
You got no choice.
Yeah.
I got no ammunition unless you want 20 more hooker stories.
do you kids? Do you guys have any questions out there? You in the back?
Go ahead, brother.
Well, this is not an admission because a lot of people will disagree with me, but my favorite Halloween is Halloween 3, Season of the Witch.
I agree. When they did 1 and 2, it was supposed to end, and then 3 was going to be a concept where every year they released a film that was just based around the season of Halloween.
Yeah.
I agree that it was a very good film.
Well, that's the original Kill the Irishman because, think about it, a mad Irishman, he's trying to kill 50 million children on Halloween.
The Irish are like that.
That's why they have a poor diet. I got a question.
Hey, you guys know I'm half Irish, right?
I'm some part too. I don't care. I can make fun of myself. I can be self-deprecating.
Me too.
Going back to Night of the Creeps, they had 2 endings on that film. And,
Oh, yeah.
The one of them was, okay, the dog spit out the slug down the other chick's throat, but the other one was, you came out smoking with still a cigarette in your mouth.
I know.
You fell down, your head split open, and all those things came out.
Yeah.
Which I thought was the better ending.
Oh, there.
In the theater, I saw the dog ending. That took me forever to watch the DVD, and they used your ending. And I looked at my wife and said, "What the hell did they change?" And she goes, "I swear the dog spit out the slug."
Yeah.
There are alternate scenes on TV. It's one of those movies that has quite a few different versions.
Yeah, I saw it on the Sci-Fi Channel. I don't watch it. It was on commercial TV, and I saw it, and I go, "What the fuck happened here? What did I miss?"
I don't know why they had 2 endings. I think the producers asked for one. The one that's on the DVD now is Fred's ending.
Yeah,
Freddie Decker, the director.
Yeah, it's not
the way he wanted it
Yeah,
to
it's
end.
not the theatrical ending.
And I don't know which one's better. But Halloween 3, like he said, it was supposed to be,
A theme.
a theme, like
Yearly
he was
theme.
going to make a different Halloween movie every Halloween, but it wasn't going to be called Halloween. And it wasn't going to involve Michael, what's his face? Michael Myers.
Well, they blew him
Michael
up.
Myers, the killer, yeah.
They blew him up at the end of the second.
Yeah. But Universal knew they had a cash cow in Michael Myers and said,
Bring him back.
don't call this Season of the Witch, call it Halloween 3, and then we're going to keep on making Michael Myers Halloweens after this. That was that.
Remember that jingle everybody hated? 8 more days.
3 more days till Halloween, Halloween.
Don't do that. Please
More days
don't do that. Please, please.
Silver Shamrock.
All right, now when you guys go to bed, still thinking
No,
of that?
that's my point. I was so shit-faced stoned when I heard that. I couldn't get out of my head for 3 weeks. I'm like,
You can all thank Mr. Atkins for that tomorrow morning and not get it out of your head.
Any other questions?
I'm just going to say
What
that.
about Oz? I was just going to bring that up. Thank you. What about Oz? Oz was a great show.
Yeah,
Talk
a
about
couple of
dirty.
people have asked me about Oz stuff. I don't have anything from Oz at the table, but we had Tommy Fontana is one of the producers on that, and I knew him all my professional life almost from Williamstown Summer Theater, and he invited me to play this Dead Mayor Walking, Dead Man Out or something. I was in 2 episodes and they cut my throat early on in the 2nd episode. I was
everybody's
I was the mayor of Emerald City or whatever the city was that Oz was in.
And you blew off Schillinger. We wanted a favor. You told him he was no good. He wasn't a real white supremacist or something.
I didn't have a brain in my head, did I?
Not that character.
Yeah.
Hence your 2-show appearance.
Did you work with
Yeah.
Chuck Cito on that at all?
I don't know. Who was he?
He was the mob guy.
No.
Ex-president of New York City Hells Angels
No.
turned actor.
Excellent. Who had a question? Dan had one up here. Go ahead.
You were involved in the remake of My Bloody Valentine in 3D.
Yeah.
Tell us about your experiences making that film and any amusing anecdotes behind the scenes stories on it.
Well, Patrick Lussier, I got a call. I live in Pittsburgh, in that area, and a girl, yeah! Go Steelers, go Penguins. Pirates suck.
You know what we say here in Cleveland? Go Browns and take the Indians with you.
And this casting agent in Pittsburgh called me and said, Patrick Lussier is a big fan of yours, and he's going to shoot a movie called My Bloody Valentine 3D, and he would like to have you in it, and he would like to meet you. And I met him for coffee at a hotel in Pittsburgh, and he said, I would love to have you play the sheriff in this. It's a nice little role. And but when I tell you how you die, you may not want to do it. And he told me my lower half of my face gets ripped off with a pickaxe and flies out in 3D over the audience's right shoulder into the corner of the theater. And I said, nah, that sounds great. That sounds like fun. Let's do that. So we did. And it was a pleasure. We shot all around Pittsburgh, up in Tarentum and one of the mines, and it was a good fun job.
Actually, I have a question for you, Tom, about the My Bloody Valentine remake. Was there anything difficult for you in that movie just due to the fact of the 3D technology and the cameras or anything?
No, you know, other people have asked that, and no, it didn't change anything for me as an actor. Stood in the same places, hit the same marks, and said the same words that they wrote and stuff like that. And no, there wasn't anything different about it.
Excellent. Anybody? Go ahead, man.
Do you have any bad experiences dealing with producers' influence on a movie? Is there anything that was changed? Like, I know you mentioned the ending of the movie of Night of the Creeps. Is there anything else that sticks out in your mind as something that you really objected to? Even though, I mean...
All those nude scenes of yours that got cut, right?
I don't quite get the question, and I'm sorry, I don't...
Have there been any...
On the set, is there anything you objected to that they asked you to do, more or less, is what he's asking?
No, not really. In My Bloody Valentine, I had to get down to Menneson, a town on the river south of Pittsburgh, to Tommy Savini's shop, and they built my death head, you know, and they had to pour shit all over my head. I had to sit in the chair. I hate that. I'm so claustrophobic. Yeah, I just can't. I can't abide that. But it was less painful doing that than the time I had to do one for that Scottish play, I can't say it. But they had to build one for me on that, and my head ended up on a pike at the end of the stage, that mask. And that was worse. So I went to CMU's shop, and they built it out there at Carnegie Mellon. And I said, now, somebody's going to be here, right? You're not going to leave me alone. Because there, in Tommy's shop, it was all over in maybe 15, 20 minutes. But out there, it was almost an hour in the chair. And it's me with 2 straws out of my nose so I could breathe. And the son of a bitch walked out of the fucking room. And after a while, I'm going, nobody. And I started to panic, and I got up and walked to the door and started banging on the door, and then somebody came back in. I didn't like that. But, and I didn't like having to get into bed with Stacey Nelkin. You know, I would have preferred Tommy Lee Wallace. No, that was great. And Stacey, the weird thing is with those, you got to get into bed with a beautiful young woman. It's always the first day of the goddamn shoot.
Yeah, it's never when you
never
know
met
each other.
You don't know each other at all. And you think, is my breath all right? Okay.
It's never after you work on some scenes. Have a lunch together. It's always, well, we're going to start with this. Damn it, man, that's page 56. Anybody else got something to say? Anybody in the panel? We got a hand in the back. Adam there first. We'll get you next.
You want Donahue it, Ken?
I can grab a wireless mic and go ahead, Adam. Shout out, and I'll grab a wire.
I got it.
Tom, can you talk a little bit about what the atmosphere was like shooting the ninth configuration?
Oh yeah, I forgot.
The ninth configuration, I would imagine most of you don't know what that is. It's one of the most bizarre jobs I ever had in my life.
It was also released as a serial killer movie title called Twinkle Twinkle Killer Came, which threw everybody off.
Yeah.
And it was a great film. Anybody who's ever seen this, I hate to interrupt, but I got to put this over because he was fabulous in it. The cast is amazing. You got to hunt it down. Ninth configuration.
It's another wonderful ensemble cast. There are a lot of great, terrific actors in there. But William Peter Blatty, who did The Exorcist, he wrote it and he produced it and he directed it. And it was, I have all of my life since then. It was 1978 that we did it. We spent 2.5 months in Budapest, Hungary, and then a couple of weeks in Austria at a castle to finish it. And I've always thought a movie about the making of that movie would have been a lot better than that movie turned out to be. There were so many drugs involved, so many wounded people involved. Oh man, it was, what a zoo.
What year did that come out, ninth configuration?
We made it in 78, so I guess it came out in 79.
70, late
Yeah,
78,
79.
So,
Like I said,
we're
gonna Donahue it.
We're gonna send Art Donahue out to the audience.
And then you're gonna pass it to the next guy. That's how we're gonna do it.
But the atmosphere on the set of ninth configuration, this is how weird it got. There were 20, I think 22, 23 guys, no women in the movie, so to speak. At the very end in the saloon fight scene, there's a woman or two. But everybody who would normally have worked maybe 2 weeks in the States said, yeah, this is great. We'll take this job, I'll be able to visit Moscow. Because he took this, Blatty thought it would get a great ensemble acting effort if everybody was over there for the whole movie, no matter how big your part was. So he did that. And everybody thought, well, it's great, I'll get to go to Prague and Czechoslovakia and go to Moscow. I'll get to travel all over. Blatty would put up the call sheet at midnight the day before, so you couldn't go anywhere because you didn't know if you were working until midnight the day before. It got to the point where near the end of the movie in Budapest, Tom Shaw, the wrangler, the first AD, would come around banging on hotel room doors. Tom, yeah, you're called. The bus is downstairs. You and all the, he'd name off the guy. I don't give a fuck, Tom, I'm not going. Tom, you're called. I don't care. I'm not gonna go. And we wouldn't literally not show up and go on the bus because we knew we'd go down and sit at that fucking castle set all day, do nothing. In costume, in a Nazi costume, holding a canine dog on a leash and just sit there all day. Blatty was nuts.
Hey Tom, I know you have a...
Oh, Michael, I'm so sorry. No, what?
You have a solid career both in stage and film. I was curious,
And television.
who influenced your acting career the most? Who was maybe your biggest idol that maybe you patterned yourself after?
Do you have one?
I don't know. Maybe Spencer Tracy, but I don't think I really thought about it much.
I go back and I can think I can answer that for you. I'll go back to the girl who got him into the theater class.
Yeah, she was my idol.
Yeah. Or at least somebody to be thankful for now.
Yeah.
You may not have had
Yeah.
this career, which was a nice long career in television.
It has.
I remember seeing
Yeah.
Tom a lot on, it was Streets of San Francisco.
Rockford Five.
Rockford Five.
Rockford Five.
I was gonna say I watched them all. So.
Yeah.
Noah Berry Jr. Yeah, I remember him.
Yeah.
Oh, he was a neat guy.
Anybody else? Look, wait a minute. We'll get since we gave the mic to a staff guy, we'll make him pass it around. There he is. Stop right there.
Tom, tell us about the '82 episode of MASH you did.
MASH, I played a bigot, total bigot. I did not want blacks in my artillery outfit. And I did everything I could to get them wounded and sent back home. Not necessarily killed. I just didn't want them around. So, they got me. All the guys from MASH, they brought in a black colonel who busted me down and out of the army.
I remember that was a good role too.
Yeah.
God, I forget about some.
How was it working on Lethal Weapon with, Mel has melted down since, and Gary's always melted down.
Yeah, well, but Mel was real nice then. He was young, and it was 1986, I think we did that, something like that. And he was great. He was in shape. He smoked, and he had a little trampoline outside of his trailer wagon outside the bank. I remember him jumping up and down all the time, smoking, but keeping his body tight. He was a nice guy, and Danny Glover, he and I had 2 scenes together in the film. And it got me a lot of work, Lethal Weapon. I think everybody saw it 10 times.
Oh yeah, it was a good flick.
I only had 2 scenes, but it was a good gig.
Did you have any contact with Gary Busey on that set?
Here's my contact with Gary Busey. I had to go to Western Costume over in Hollywood to get fitted for 2 Giorgio Armani suits, tailor-made, beautiful suits. I tried to get them. They said, "Yeah, you can have them." Never happened. I think the director's brother took them or something. But Gary Busey was there also getting fitted for whatever he was going to wear in his, And he gets on the phone, and I hear Gary Busey, this is him on the phone. "Hey, I ain't going to dye my fucking hair. This part ain't about fucking white hair. I ain't going to be a fucking albino. I don't give a shit what you say. I'm not going to be a fucking albino." And then he hung up the phone, and he showed up on the set, and he was an albino. He was talking to Donner, Richard Donner, the director, and so He was an albino. Otherwise, there would have been a different actor. Otherwise, William Forsythe would have been there or somebody. You know, I don't know.
Somebody else.
Billy.
We've got another question over here.
I was going to ask, well, first off, I saw The Chief, and I love that. I'm sad that it's over now.
Oh, thanks, man.
How do you approach something like that? Because it all hinges on you, that whole show.
The Chief is a one-man show that I did in Pittsburgh for 9 years. It's a play, an hour and a half, just me, one guy, as Art Rooney Sr., the original founder, owner of the Steelers. And I just tell stories for an hour and a half. And I'll tell you, when I first read the script, I did not think it would work. I thought, I can't see why anybody would want to sit there and listen to this old guy tell stories, charming as they are. It isn't an evening in the theater to me, but we worked on it, and when we opened, the first audience just went through the roof, and then I realized this is a good evening in the theater, and they know better than me what's good and what's not.
Well, one man productions have gotten very popular. One man productions over the years in the theater. Does anyone else have a question? Here you go.
Can you talk about working with Jamie Lee Curtis?
She was wonderful, sweet young Jamie Lee. She was 19 and I was 34, I think, when we did that, The Fog. And it was just another case, though. You know, first day on the set, climb into this bed and look at your art. And no, actually, we didn't do that the first day. I think we.
Yeah, you were a little more comfortable by the time we got around to that one.
We got a little bit into it. I mean, we did it later. We did it later.
Yeah, I wasn't going to touch that one.
We did it later on in the movie shoot. But I love some of the lines in that, you know, where she's hitchhiking, I pick her up in my beat up, oh God, that truck. We had the hardest time keeping that son of a bitch running during the whole movie. But I picked her up in the truck and she says, "Are you weird?" Yes, I am weird. And then it cuts to, there we are in bed, looking at our art, my art, her art. I don't know whose art it was. She was wonderful, very, very nice to work with, a sweet kid. And her mom was on the shoot too, Janet Lee, who was a lovely, lovely woman.
Absolutely.
That was a terrific cast too, another, you know, really nice ensemble with it. What's the old man, Hal Holbrook, and wow. Did you just
Did have a good ensemble.
No, what was it? It's a Steve.
It was a man that
I saw him go like this.
Hey, well, I'm back in the back of the
I was
room.
ready to
Anybody
bail
else?
out of here. I was ready to get the hell out of here.
Any questions from the back of the room here? Here we got another one over here. We'll get off this subject.
I'll get you off that subject. Longtime fan, Mr. Tom Atkins. The Grindhouse movies that came out a couple years ago, to my mind, in Planet Terror, the Josh Brolin character seemed to be very blatantly based off of a character you would have played like about 30, 35 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
Any thoughts that you would have had to have tackled that, or how would that have gone if you had done that one? What did you think of those, anyhow?
I liked them. Where the hell was it? Land of the Dead, Dawn of the Wonder, whatever George's movie was, the Dead movie, it premiered in Pittsburgh, and Quentin Tarantino and Rodriguez and a couple other guys.
Shaun of the Dead guys came in from England.
Yeah, and I got to meet them and shoot the shit a little bit with them. I know, I like the one that Tommy Savini was in, and down in Mexico or something.
Dusk Till Dawn.
Yeah, yeah. And the one-legged girl with the Tommy gun for her other leg or whatever.
Yeah, it was in the Grindhouse film, Planet Terror.
They were hysterical films, and I don't think I could have done any better than Brolin did in the way he played things. He's a terrific actor. He's really good.
How about anybody else back here? Well, I've got a mic. I'm going to start strolling up front. Okay, we got.
You're gonna walk all the way in the back now.
We got another one? Yeah, I'm fat. I don't like to make all them trips.
Can you comment on your experiences on Escape from New York, and particularly your work with Lee Van Cleef, because you had some great scenes together with him. Very nice, easy rapport you two seem to have in that film.
Yeah, you must have just come in or something, because I did talk about Escape from New York a little bit earlier, and Lee Van Cleef, I said to the rest of the house here, he was sick at the time. He was dying of cancer, though we didn't really know it, but he was dead within a year. He was just the sweetest guy, so unlike the evil incarnate in the good, the bad, the ugly, and those kind of dead. Was he the guy? Was he the killer in Shane? Or no, that was
Jack Palance.
That was Jack Palance. But he was just a real sweet guy.
Well, Lee Van Cleef essentially thought his career was over in the 50s when he was doing low-budget stuff for Corman, and then blammo, all of a sudden he got a little breath of fresh air with the spaghetti western stuff, and worked till the day he passed away.
Yeah. He was painting houses. He quit. His career pretty much parallels Sid Haig, that he basically got tired of being a heavy and pointing guns at people, and he said, fuck it, I'm done. Then Sergio Leone remembered, there was a bunch of casting things. Lee Marvin, Charlton Heston, we were all up for it, but they all either wanted more money or were trying to screw around. And then Sergio Leone remembered High Noon, and Lee Van Cleef didn't have any words.
Oh, that's
the first killer.
Yeah.
So the story I got was Leone actually came over to convince him to do this thing. Then he called Eastwood and he says, is this on the level? And he said, yeah. And honestly, if you watch For a Few Dollars More, that's not Eastwood's movie. That's Van Cleef's movie. It's all his.
Yeah.
That's how good he was. I mean, the man was a great actor, a great heavy.
I speak, me and Pete both have a lot of conversations. We're both big marks for Lee Van Cleef. But
he had such a great face.
He did.
Wonderful face.
His name and all those angel eyes.
Yeah.
That look.
Then when he did Sabata, they advertised on the poster as the man with the gun-set eyes.
The gun-set eyes. Yeah.
Somebody asked me, did he have two different colored eyes? Somebody asked me that.
No, I don't. Not that I know.
Somebody said he had a gray eye and a blue eye, but I never noticed that.
David Bowie.
Maybe.
He was missing part of his index finger. I remember that.
Yeah. So was Telly Savalas.
Okay, we got another question here. First, I was at your Rochester, New York event, and I thought that was a really great night.
Oh, thanks.
The movie, so that was a lot of fun. And my question is, could you maybe tell us if there was any magic on the set of Tarantulas, the Deadly Cargo?
Magic?
they just released that not long ago.
No, I can't think of a single magic moment.
The most magical moment was Friday when paychecks came in.
That was it, man. I died another quick death than that one. Me and Howard Hessman in the cockpit of an old DC-3 that never moved, but I think, and maybe it wasn't intended to, and the cargo was a bunch of tarantulas in the back, and they escaped, and for some reason walked up my pant leg, not Howard's, and bit me, and I died. The end. And as for the rest of the movie, I never saw it, so I have no idea if there was any magic in that film.
We've got another question right here.
I'm sorry, I'm still dying over the magic comment. That adorable belly laugh, I'm sorry. Now, I know you were only in the movie for a short time, but to me the scene really sets the tone for the movie. But how were you approached into doing Creepshow?
I knew George from Pittsburgh, and he knew, I was in movies and stuff, and he was in LA, and I was living in LA at the time, and he invited me down to talk about Creepshow. He sent me a script, and then I went down to meet him and Christine at some room down in Santa Monica or something, and he said, what do you think? And I said, oh, I loved it, it's great. And he said, anything in there you might like to do? And I said, well, yeah, I would love to play the guy that gets eaten with the grass shit, the green stuff. And he said, I'm sorry, I can't. And Steven's gonna play that. And Stephen King, who wrote the script with George. And he said, would you do me a favor and play the dad at the beginning and the end, just kind of tie the whole thing together? And I said, yeah, sure, I'll do that. So we did. That's how I got into it, and it was Stephen King's own son, Joe King, who played my son in the movie. Some people know that and some people don't. But he was about 9 years old at the time. I remember Stephen's when I first met him, he came on the set on location one night. We were shooting me throwing the comic book into the garbage can, and thunder and lightning and shit going off. And Stephen walks into the trailer and he said, what's Jamie Lee Curtis really like? He's a weird guy. And then we were shooting the scene with his son in the bedroom where I tell, you know, I don't want you reading that shit, and I smack him. And Stephen was worried about me smacking him, and I told him, you know, I'm a fucking professional actor, I've been an actor a long time. I'll make it look good, it ain't gonna hurt him. Then he said, oh, okay. And it worked out fine.
Speaking of Romero and Pittsburgh had a lot of films shot in it back in the day. Suddenly, in the last few years, there's a resurgence of films. I mean, from the 90s till the last couple of years, basically nothing was shot there. Now, all of a sudden, there's this resurgence. What do you think it is about Pittsburgh that makes it right for shooting films?
It's all about money. Movies are always all about money, and it's because the state of Pennsylvania came up with a tax incentive finally, because they, I guess, you know, because the movies weren't coming there anymore and they were going everywhere else. So they implemented a tax incentive that gives movie companies who spend 60% of their budget in Pennsylvania a big break. And that's why. That's why they're coming back now. And I just heard Russ Striner, who was in Night of the Living Dead, just told me that Batman is going to come for 5 or 6 weeks to Pittsburgh area.
Russ is very involved in the Pittsburgh Film Commission and everything.
Yeah.
Another one back there.
Is there ever a role that you absolutely strive for and just didn't get, or a role that you saw like retrospectively and said, "Shit, I would have killed that role"?
Yes, there is a role that I really wanted and I didn't get, and I'll tell you that story. But I just met Thomas Tull. He's one of the new, the Rooney family had to diverse themselves out of being solitary owners of the Steelers because they own dog tracks and horse race tracks, and the NFL thought that was a conflict of interest, even though it never had been in the 50 years they had owned the team. But they made them break it up, so they got some new owners of the Steelers, and Thomas Tull, who is the head of Legendary Pictures, and they did Inception, and the last Batman, I think, was them. They were one of the producers on. Anyway, Thomas Tull and I had a meeting because he was thinking about maybe doing the play of the Chief out in L.A. And he said, he used your term, boy, you would kill as the owner of the planet in the new Superman, you know, the Daily Planet.
Kind of a Perry White role?
Yeah. Perry White. You would kill as Perry White. You're perfect for Perry White. And I reminded him, because he had seen the film of the Chief, I said, that's what the kids call me. That's why they called me the Chief, is they thought I looked like that guy who runs the newspaper in the Superman television show. So, but the role I wanted and didn't get, I was doing a play in New York on Broadway called The Changing Room, David's story, another wonderful ensemble cast, 22 guys, no women. We're all members of a rugby team. And I had done a play a couple of summers prior to that with Catherine Houghton, who was Katharine Hepburn's niece. in Sabrina up at Iverton Playhouse in Connecticut, and she brought her aunt to see Changing Room because she knew her aunt was doing a television special of the Glass Menagerie, and she was going to play Amanda Wingfield, the old lady, and they were looking for a gentleman caller, and Katharine Hepburn saw me in the play and invited me to audition with her and David Susskind, the producer, and she read the part of the young girl, and I played the gentleman caller, and I got the part. But they wouldn't let me out of the play to do the part. I couldn't get out of the play. So that it broke my heart for a couple of months because I really wanted to do that, and I knew I would have killed in that part, but I couldn't get out of the play, so that was that.
Well, we're quickly approaching a fast hour here. We hate to keep you over that. How about you, Pete? Art, got anything else to finish this up with?
Yeah, one more. I just, the whole thing about the ninth configuration, there was a lot of great actors, including yourself in there, but one of the guys I really liked, maybe you can shed some light on this, was Neville Brand. How was he to work with?
Oh, he was wonderful. Neville Brand was great, and Moses Gunn. They were probably the two oldest guys in that movie, I would think. And, it was funny. There we are in Hungary in the Budapest Hilton Hotel, and at the time we're behind the Iron Curtain, and I thought, that's weird. How can this be a Hilton Hotel and we're in communist country? And Neville Brand and Moses Gunn were both all excited about getting paid all this per diem, and they were going to put it in a bank in Yugoslavia and then cash it out in American dollars when the film was over and go back, with a big pocket full of money. But we were paid per diem in forints, which is Hungarian money, which is absolutely of no value outside of Hungary. Not worth a penny. He was a wonderful actor, Neville Brand, and seemed to, delighted that he had been invited to be in the film and be over there and working with Jason Miller and Blatty and all those guys. It was a unique experience, I'll tell you.
It had to be. They shot a lot of movies over in right when the Soviet Union fell. It was a big opportunity. Well, we don't like to keep anybody more than an hour. It wasn't quite the panel me and Pete had planned, but by all means, we're happy we had him up here. Give Mr. Tom Atkins a hand.
Thank you all so much. You guys are great.